Raymond. We got Jared doing the same in the other room. Okay, I see all of our bright smiling faces. That's true. Okay.
Awesome. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Iron County Commission. Today is Monday, the 22nd of July, 2024. We're glad to see a full room today. At least the ones that count are here.
Exactly.
We would like to start off today with a Pledge of Allegiance. We've asked Bruce if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Then Commissioner Cousins will offer an invocation for us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, as we gather this morning for this Iron County Commission meeting, we express our gratitude for the many wonderful blessings we enjoy for this beautiful land we live in, and these beautiful valleys, and for the comfort and security we feel here. We are grateful for the county we live in and for the opportunity we have to govern ourselves in this way. We're thankful for our republic and pray for those who are in elected offices that they may be blessed and watched over and protected. We are grateful for our citizens in this county and would ask a special blessing upon them with any special needs they may have at this time, especially for those who are downtrodden or sick or have special needs, that we may be aware as friends and community members and officials that we can be of assistance to them. We ask that thou be with us as we deliberate the things on the agenda this day, that thy Spirit will guide and direct our actions. We acknowledge thy hand in all things and thank thee for all that we have. We pray for our safety individuals that watch over and protect us, for first responders, and especially as lately as we've had so many fires, we pray for our fire personnel that they can continue to work hard and to subdue the fires that are raging this time. We love thee and thank thee for the blessings once again, and ask that thou be with us this day in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. All right.
Claims?
John, might I borrow a pen?
Absolutely.
I came without glasses, pen.
Pens.
I've got a marker and a pencil.
I'm in trouble this morning. Claims.
I'll move for approval of claims for payments from July 8th, 2024 to July 21st, 2024.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we'll move on to departmental reports this morning. Invite Paul Monroe to the stand, as he was the early bird here and has a place to go once he's finished. So, welcome.
Thank you, Commissioners. Paul Monroe with the Central Iron County Water Conservancy District, and just wanted to provide an update to you. Start off with our building that's going in on Westview, which will be our maintenance facility, as well as it'll house our administrative offices as well, and a portion of that. But it's going up good. It's on schedule. The building is, it's got the roof on and all of the exterior on, and they're supposed to start framing the interior today. So we're excited about that. Potentially be able to move into that at sometime after the new year. Rocky Mountain Power let us know that they couldn't find a transformer, and we might be a year out before we get a transformer, but we're thinking that, well, we know that we'll probably be able to go find one from somebody else and buy one and bring it in or something, but I guess that's getting to be an issue.
They're still not catching up on those.
Yeah, they're really struggling with them. We've talked about that for the gel and everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get it ordered sooner than later, right? Whatever it is, wherever you're at. A couple of other projects. So we've got we've probably got about $7 million of infrastructure going in this year. That includes looping our systems at 4000 North, which is west of Lund Highway, over to about what is that? That's about 6000 west over there, and that'll really help balance the whole Central Valley. That project is nearing complete. Munford is the contractor on that. They're doing a great job. We just finalized an easement so that we can loop our system north of there on 2300 and 1700 west. That'll allow us to keep water clean, so there's no dead ends on either one of those lines, as well as in the future. I know Cedar City is currently looking at drilling wells and is drilling a well currently in that north end of the basin, and we'll be able to convey that water through our pipes. That will allow us more flow as it gets to that juncture point there, so that as a well field is developed in the north end of the basin, we can provide more flow. The overarching plan in the future is to follow the belt route that the county has established with a main transmission line. So in the future, as those easements are acquired and things that way, we'll have a main transmission line that goes to the north, which will kind of line up with the development of wells in that area as well. And then towards the inland port area, we're just waiting on, we completed all of our environmental analysis on the tank and water line in that area. And so we're just waiting on approval from the USDA, who is our funding agency, to approve the engineering specs on that. So that should be finalized, and then we're going to go out to bid for that tank, which will be it's designed as a 4 million gallon tank. Again, will help balance and provide a large pressure zone throughout the center part of the valley. We've also talked with Cedar City that they may be able to pump directly from their wells at Quichapa to that tank, really take a lot of the head pressure off of those wells, because currently from those wells they pump directly up to their tank up above Walmart, and that is a tremendous amount of head, tremendous amount of pressure they put on those wells and the bowls that are in those wells. And so they'd be able to reduce a lot of that and then just put in a booster pump station. The district purchased some property at the Y, 20 acres, and that's kind of a central location where we'd be able to conjoin Cedar City and the district and help alleviate a lot of pressures and a lot of issues that way. So that's something that we're focused on in the future as well.
Oh, they'd have to run a line up there, right, to do that?
To where?
Your tank, the city?
No, they would just utilize our infrastructure.
Oh.
So they could just tie right into
Tie in,
right there at the Y, they could tie in.
just right there.
Yep.
And that's large enough to do that?
Yeah, so the district has a 24-inch line and the city has a 20-inch line right there. So, yeah, they'd tie right into that line, which would go up to that large 4 million gallon tank.
'Cause isn't it like over 200 PSI right now?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
dangerously high, isn't it?
Yeah, dangerously. So it'd be a big benefit for the city for their overall kind of maintenance strategy long term, because it takes a lot to replace one of those wells with the additional bowls that are in it. It'd be really helpful to.
How do you handle
Run their
that
system.
with now that you're mixing water district and city water in that tank? Is there metering going on in and out?
Yeah, so what you would do is just a meter in and a meter out. So, in order for if we were to do this, what would happen is you'd have to basically kind of cap off the city's line and have two lines that would go into a booster station, so that you would have the water from the wells would go directly to the tanks, and then on the backside the tanks would come in and they would have to boost it. So your pressure would still be high right there at that booster pump, but basically from the Y west you could drastically reduce the pressure. You'd reduce pressure and likely increase your flows at the same time.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that part of the project's moving forward. We're also looking in that area of probably over the next year drilling a well. There's a well that was been located for many years. Paul, when you were on the board, it's actually before your time too. Eldon Schmutz located a well on some property that is right in the middle of the BZI Inland Port area. And we've since had some geophysical analysis and studies on that's been done, and it looks like a really good area to have a well. So we'll be drilling a well there, and as well as out in Basin 71, where we've extended our water line out to Novatech. We're going to take it a couple miles past there and drill a well in Basin 71. So
How close to Wacko would that be?
I think it's still another mile, maybe 2 miles from Wacko.
They've had some good wells out there, right?
Yeah, so those ag wells that are adjacent to there, they're all pumping at about 2,000 gallons a minute. So we're really hopeful that we could get something like that. That'd be a lot of, the wells on the kind of the north end of the basin and out, not including Quichapa. Quichapa area is great production, gravel areas. But the central part of the valley, a lot of wells are kind of around 500 gallons a minute. Marilyn, you probably know better than any of us, but
It's not great water either
yeah.
in that basin. Yeah.
So
I don't know. At Iron Springs, it's probably better than further west, for sure. And it's very corrosive, and sometimes we replace a pump every year.
yeah.
So we don't, hopefully it's better than that.
Yeah. We've got a full gamut of water sampling on those wells out in that area. And of course we have the water sampling from WECO because they're required to supply everything to DEQ. So the wells in that area, they look pretty good. Initially we looked at some sites close to where the dump's at, and we got a little nervous because of the arsenic that's in that area. So we decided to move out into the valley where that's not showing up in some of those other wells. And arsenic is treatable, but you just adds another expense. On our conservation side, with reuse of wastewater, we're working with Cedar City. They've got some plans to put together a plio filter, which will bring the wastewater treatment plant up to a type 1 system where it can be used throughout. Well, it can come in human contact at that point. So it could be used in parks, golf courses, things like that. They're moving forward pretty seriously. They've got a grant, and the district has a grant as well that we're likely going to match with that. We received a $500,000 grant, so that'll go towards this project. It's estimated to be, I think, about $5 million, somewhere around there, to bring that up to a type 1 facility. But looking at the economics of it, it shakes out to be about a $10,000 per acre foot project. So it makes sense to do, right? So water rights are currently trending above that a little bit. So it's amazing to see the technology advances that have happened in the last couple of years too, because, we were looking at treating that system. It was, $60 million to get it to a type 1. And now we're talking $5 million.
And that's not piping to go anywhere.
There's no
That's
conveyance.
just- yeah.
Yep. So that's going to be an additional phase. The district did receive a grant from the Department of Agriculture, and we've been working with the Clarks to get an easement through some of their property. Met with them last week, and that seems to be moving forward good, so that we can deliver that water either type 1 or type 2. It doesn't matter, but we want to take that over to the east and pattern that after what we're doing out at Quichapa and idle groundwater wells, and supply them with water from wastewater. So we've got some grant money that we can utilize
So that
with
grant
that.
money came through,
From the Utah Department of Agriculture, yes.
not from the
Not from DNR.
NAR.
No.
Is that can ever come through?
We've put in an application, but I haven't heard anything on that one yet. And then speaking of the Clarks, I mentioned, 6,000 North, we're looping that, but we did receive another easement with them, finalized that last week. So that'll be good. Let's see if I'm missing anything else. The other thing, I guess, since we met on conservation would be recharge. We had another good year. Happy with the results. We're starting to see the water table come back up in some areas after after this, and it's just kind of a long game. We're in it for the long haul, and hopefully we continue to have some good years. But at least we have some facilities in place right now. We've got some partners in place. Paul's helped a lot with that, with those different partners, Western Rock, and the relationships we have there. We appreciate them and their support with allowing us to be able to put water back into the ground. But it's crucial for us for sure, and over the long haul, we're going to look back and be really grateful for the efforts that we've put in to be able to save every drop that we can. So
That new structure that you guys put in at Schmidt was amazing.
Yeah.
They were so good. Tracy and his crew did a great job.
They did an amazing job. It's nice that it's adjustable, that we can.
So good. So much better.
Is that the one right off Coal Creek Road? Is that the one you're talking about?
Right behind the
Bulldog.
county yard. Just-
Oh, okay.
just north of county yard, right there at the.
Yeah, you can just drive right through the county yard and go back there and see.
He had 2 gates and had a little trouble with the riprap going down into the pit, washing out, but we reinforced that. It worked really good.
Yeah, we're going to install another 24-inch water line that goes into that city pit just west of there, so that we can expand on that area as well. That water line is going to be kind of multi-used for a minute. We're actually going to donate it to the Rotary Club so they can use that HDP pipe at the Canyon Park that they're redoing right now. So they're going to use that as a bypass pipe, and then we'll just cut it back up and then move it back over and weld it together over there at that city pit. So that'll be good to expand that and be able to take more capacity in that area. But we appreciate the county and allowing us to use that county pit as well.
They said it takes water better than any of them, probably because we take gravel out of it so often,
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it for sure. There's no overburden. And then additionally, you can just see the different colors in the pits, and you can see the amount of sediment, or you could just go look today and see all the sediment that's dropped in that first pit. And then, the water raises up before it goes over and spills over into the other pits. And
It's cleaner.
it's cleaner. Yeah. And I think that's having a big effect, and something that we're, want to plan for and pattern in the future for the other pits that are available.
Yeah.
Lastly is our Basin 14, or the Pine Valley Water Supply Project. We're moving forward on that, working with the BLM and pushing forward on that. We've got to just get a couple of answers from hydrologists from the United States Geological Survey, working with them, and then the state engineer. And then after we kind of finalize that, we'll just plug on and get to the point where we can submit our final EIS. So we're moving forward, and we're happy to see this thing hopefully come to an end. We started it in 2019, and the environmental consultants at the time said that they thought they could get it done in 2 years, but we're a little bit beyond the 2 years. But that's how those things go. We all know that. But it's good to see it moving forward. Any questions?
No.
Okay.
Keep up the good work.
Question, that line to Pine Valley, that's been all over the place size-wise. Where have you guys landed as far as pipe size going out there? Because are you looking at Wawa and Pine, or just Pine right now?
Right now it's designed, the preliminary design is it's sized to bring in both valleys. Yeah. So
It was like a 54-inch, wasn't it, or something?
I think it was, maybe around 50 to 40 inch, somewhere in there. But there hasn't been any significant engineering done on that. It's at the preliminary level. So that'll be a next step for the project. We'll be getting into actual design of the project and value design engineering. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Have fun on your
Thank
trip.
you. All right, let's go back. We're going to excuse Karsten Reed today. He's not present to give the assessor report. Let's go to Jared with IT.
Morning, Commissioners. I didn't prepare anything for you, so it's been a busy time for us. So looking at everything going through, but we're sitting pretty good as far as budget goes, and workload is is high right now. We got that Children's Justice Center that's been taking a lot of time, so we're doing a lot with that. And we've got some server migrations we're doing with Eagle, and that's taking a lot of time. And I wish that one was done already, which it should have been, but we're still plugging along on those. So we're just staying really, really busy. Kendall was able to head down, him and Josh, and they went to an ESRI conference. They just got back this past week. So I was talking with him this morning. He said it was a really, really good one. Braden from the assessor's office is actually down there with them, which was very beneficial. So he was able, I really appreciate Karsten. He's let Braden kind of take the lead in that office doing GIS stuff. And so Kendall and Braden have been working pretty hard together on making things work and making kind of streamlining stuff for him to see how that goes. So Braden's been really great. He's really catching on to it and doing well. So we appreciate that and his willingness to learn something new. So it's really, really good to see that in there. Other than that, I mean, really, budget's doing great. The office is doing great. We're staying extremely busy and love it. Like to be busy.
So I have a question. Our email, have you changed that now then?
We've changed some. So
They're
some
not all.
They're not all
Okay.
changed yet.
So are ours still ironcounty.net?
Correct.
Okay.
So, but they will change, and once you notice the change, it'll be seamless, and you'll still get all your emails from ironcounty.net. And
they'll
so like mine's been switched over.
So we'll want to start using our new one.
Yeah, once
Utah.gov, is that what it is?
it's ironcountyut.gov.
Iron County UT.
Yep, we had to put the UT in there. They wouldn't let us just do Iron County. They said nope, there's too many other Iron counties in the country.
In the
so,
world.
yeah, so we had to put the UT on there .gov, and you can start advertising that right now if you'd like to, and on your signatures and all that for your email.
Business cards.
Yeah, business cards, all that kind of stuff. Same with the ironcountyut.gov website. So that's live. So if you were to type in ironcountyut.gov, it will reroute you, and it'll be working that way. So you can.
So is UT small or large?
Yeah, it's small.
Small.
Yeah.
Small.
It won't matter when you go to type it in the website, but
Okay.
same with email, it'll still take it. But yeah, it's all lowercase. So
Okay. Okay.
So.
Cool.
good question.
We need to, I wonder if we need to, we don't usually do this till the first of the year, but things like letterhead, things like kind of some of the branding that we've got going, we may want to sit down and just
Yeah.
talk that through.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good idea to sit down and kind of chat it through, and I don't think we're in any kind of hurry
Okay.
with it. So like,
So we don't need to
yeah,
hurry
just-
and
no,
or spend a bunch of extra money.
right.
Okay.
So both avenues will work, and they'll work for quite a while.
Okay.
So we still
Well, if we can
domain rights and
stretch that
everything.
till the first of the year, and then we can kind of make a clean.
Yeah, that'd be my recommendation on anything we have like that is wait till that time comes where it's a clean transition. So,
Great.
and we'll keep that ironcounty.net domain. We'll keep it for a good 5 years at least before we let it go.
Good.
So that way we don't,
You don't miss stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Public can still hit everything real easy. We're not going to
Yeah.
cause any heartaches.
Good.
We can
Good.
rebrand it, Google, all that stuff. Yeah,
Correct.
great.
So, yep. Also really glad, I mean, you probably heard about it, the CrowdStrike thing where they had a glitch in their programming and brought the world to its knees.
Oh,
it did-
man.
I was really pleased when I came in and we didn't have to worry about any of that. But yeah, there was potential there, but they got on it real quick. It was good. CrowdStrike did a good job with it. So
They have, because I was talking to my son, he used to work for them
Uh-huh.
about 2 years ago. He left the company, but he said the problem is every single blue screen, you've got to shut that computer, go into safe mode, delete a file, and
Right.
reboot it. And that's a lot of computers.
It is, and if you don't know what you're doing, it can be really challenging and frustrating with it. But I was impressed with. I mean, we don't do business with the company at all, but I was really impressed with the timeliness that they got to it and the pushes that they made, and to all their vendors that utilize them, and all the emails I saw coming in saying, "Hey, if you've been affected, here's your steps and processes." And by 10 a.m. that morning, I was getting all those emails saying this is the process to go through.
Even though we don't use it, you were
Even
getting
though-
emails from them.
So there's a company we do use is Scale Computing,
Hmm.
but Scale doesn't actually utilize CrowdStrike, but they'll allow us as a customer to use CrowdStrike on their servers. We don't, but they sent out a thing saying, hey, if you do use it, this is the process. So,
Hmm.
so it was, yeah, they did a good job to rectify their error, but it sure
They said they're
crippled.
still, this morning
Yeah.
on the news, they said they're still the aftermath is still there.
They'll still fight it for a while, but
Yeah.
not a fun one for them.
Yeah.
Don't envy them at all. But for us, it went pretty smooth. We didn't, not having anything with them helps. But
Nice. I did want to tell you, thank you for letting Kendall help us with the livestock trails and that ordinance. That was he is just so fabulous to help with those kind of things in the county. We've just appreciated him so much. I did want to tell you thank you for that.
he's probably listening, but I'll pass it on to him.
Okay, thank you.
He loves helping out in those situations too. He just like something new like that, and he loves to grab the project and run with
Yeah,
it
it was
and go. So
great.
Well, and I guess along those lines, I know it might probably echo this, but that kind of the extra effort you all made on the CJC building, that was, from what I understand, a little bit unplanned, but you guys pulled it off. So
Yeah.
that was really appreciated.
appreciate that. Yeah, always good to help. We love that. So yeah. Any other questions? Other than that, Paul's a lot more interesting than I am. So
Oh, we'll take it. we'll take everything's going all right, no drama. Well, yeah.
We love that.
not a bad
Thank
thing,
you.
right? All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Jared.
Thanks.
Nicole, come on down. I knew you'd have handouts to make up for Jared not.
I have my little handout.
She always does. Thank you.
The school teacher just comes right out again. My lovely handout. I know it's a little quieter time of year for us, so I'm grateful for that. But your first page is your product sales. That just shows everything we've collected since January 1st. So for our slow time, collecting almost 16 million is not terrible. So I feel like we're doing pretty good and getting a good start to our year. The next is our pool cash report, just showing where our little balances are in all of our bank accounts and the fund balances. So we're staying nice and good, which is really helping our interest. We're super glad to have those balances up there. The one spreadsheet is just what we've collected that goes to the county, which is 2.8 million. So of course all of our good collecting comes October, November, December. So, but we're getting a good start. The PTIF, the interest rate, last time I reported was 5.44, and last month it was 5.43. So it's staying nice and even, nice and high, which is super helpful. In our one PTIF account, so far this year we've gained $1,229,000 in interest. So that is super awesome. We know it won't last forever, but we're sure liking it while it's happening. Our Morton, we're still doing really well. We have some really good long-term rates, some of them 5-6%. So we're doing really good with that. It's been a really good time to invest with them.
How often do they report to you on?
They report to me quarterly, and their reporting is so great. They kind of look at the whole Utah. Of course, they love to point out that Iron County has grown the fastest in the whole state of Utah. So they're so good, and they do a really good, robust report every quarter, and they're great to stop in every time they're going
So,
back and forth.
I mean, we've got like almost 22 million there. How much has Moriton paid in interest, or was that 1.2 total?
Last year it was over 800,000.
Wow.
So I'll have to check and see how they're doing for this year, but we're doing really good. We're able to get some really good long rates, and so they've been able to ladder our money really well. So I'm really, really pleased with the work they're doing for us. Our May tax sale went great. All of the properties sold, of course, except for the campsites. We never sell those. We're just still trying to gather those up, but We had a few little problems, but people not paying, but they offered it to the bidder just below, and so we were able to get all of those cleared up. August does a really good job working with the public surplus, and so we appreciate our offices just work well together. We appreciate them so much, and grateful for them. We're still limping along with personal property. I think there's still some billing that needs to be done, the ones that didn't file, but we're still working with Teresa and getting that going and getting everything collected. Melanie has her little summer project where if you delete a parcel and there's delinquent taxes, we have to move it onto the new parcels. So she's been doing that, and we have that all finished. We're working with the landfill to make sure they're new. They started July 1st with their new merchant and their new software system, and so we've been working with Jeremy just to make sure everything's going well and the money's coming in correctly. So hopefully we'll be okay with our landfill. My budget is great. Of course, all my big expenditures happen in October, November, December, so it looks super good right now. And just always want to thank my people. They work hard, and they're just such good people to work with, and I really appreciate them.
I got my tax.
Did you cry a little bit when you got your disclosure
Little.
notice? I cried
Don't
a little
we
bit when I
always?
got mine too.
I haven't even dared open mine.
They definitely, they hit the mail, so I'm sure poor Carrie's phone is just ringing off the hook, the poor thing, so. But
It is
yeah,
what it is.
you
Yep.
know what? I know, it's terrible. We talked about that in church yesterday.
I
So
bet.
if our neighbors would quit selling their property for so much money, it would help us all a little bit, but
Yep.
my dad always said, you can't make more land.
Nope.
So it
Nope.
just
You
keeps
sell it, then
getting
it's
super
gone.
valuable. So, right. If you have any questions, or
Nope.
okay. Alrighty, thank you.
Thank you.
You.
Commissioner Wood, you got anything to regale us with?
I don't have a lot because I was gone on vacation
For
for
you.
family reunion up in Washington State, and it was really fun. Of course, it's important that we do family stuff like that, I think, and we had a really good trip. I'm on the committee to help with the groundbreaking for the jail. That's coming up August 16th at 9 o'clock. And the CJC ribbon cutting is at 10:30. So we're just going to have to run from
Gather
one to the other.
from the other.
We had a conflict with the sheriff, and we wanted him to be there. So, and the road crew will start, I think, this week, starting to clear a place for that and get that gravelled or whatever that we need to do with that. We also had another family reunion, the Wood family reunion up to Wood Ranch, and I just wanted to give a shout out. The Wood family donated that property, but what a fabulous place to have activities. The pond, it's just beautiful up there, and Bryce Williams is over Parks and Rec, and he does a great job with that. And I just a shout out to them, because what a great place that the county has to rent out for weddings. Or I mean, we've had weddings up there, we've had family reunions and meetings and all kinds of stuff.
Last week we were up there with the assessors having their summer conference, and I thought the same thing with the way that it is, and also the improvements that have been made. Lights in the pavilion, the fireplace. We had s'mores going, and
That's awesome.
it was wonderful up there. 20 degrees cooler than
Did they like it?
They had
Did
a
the
good
other
time.
people?
They had
Did
a
they
good time.
say something, anything
Yeah,
about
they
it?
did.
Oh,
Well,
cool.
it's just a beautiful place, and
It is.
talked about
It
it, so.
absolutely is. So, anyway, that's all I had.
Mr. Cousins.
All right. This is a little unrelated, but we had a very successful July Jamboree. Mary and I are involved with the Rotary Club, and she did all the registrations for all the cars, and she spent a lot of hours doing that.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I think the cars go clear down to State Bank now. It just keeps going.
Big and
It's a
big.
great event for our area, and a lot of people came out and supported that, so it was good. Attended our Southwest Behavioral Health Board meeting this last week. That was good. And then we also had our Human Services Council, and that's a council where they manage a lot of the federal grants and for different things in the area. Had the library board meeting this last week. We approved a new general plan and policy changes in that. And then just continue to work on the jail. We continue to have weekly meetings and other legal meetings we've been dealing with, and there'll be the reports coming forth on that, on some issues there. But that's about all the report I have.
All right. Marilyn mentioned the jail, groundbreaking, August 16th. Yay.
Yay! Finally.
I got to that point. I've been, I'm sure everybody noticed that Graff Point has been on fire above Canaryville. I spent a significant amount of time working on that. That turned into, I don't remember the acreage. I'm going to say it ultimately is about 600 acres. It was very difficult to get manpower into. We kind of had to rely on air support to get those, to get the fire under control. They brought in the it's complicated, and fire has more acronyms than anybody else.
I know.
Ultimately it was turned over to a Type 2 management team, which they bring in a whole team that does everything from fight the fire to the logistics to the finances. They turn it all over to that Type 2 team, which is very important because that triggers that bill to go to the federal government. The state and federal government pick that up. Ryan Riddle designated that right in the beginning, which is always good because the county isn't on the hook for the millions of dollars that it costs to fight those fires. As of Saturday morning, the operations were turned back to local management. There's no more need for the Type 2 team. The fire's essentially out. There'll be some mop up and things like that. But as of Saturday morning, all of the evacuations were lifted, all of the roads were reopened, and there was no loss of property, no loss of any structures.
Did it get closed any?
Close. Came within
On top?
kind of on the on the top and on the face. It burned within 100 yards of several structures. There was one, and I don't remember which one, but it was significantly closer than that. They dropped a team on their, I don't remember whose cabin it was, but they spent a couple of days basically camped on the front porch.
Oh, wow.
To save that structure, and they did. Just the usual folks. I want to thank George Colson. It was up about 24 hours a day in that command center, managing evacuations, managing road closures. Chief Mike Phillips from the Cedar City Police Department. See, cops are way more important than firefighters. I've put that on the record a million times. Cedar City Fire Department, very integrated. Ryan Riddle, our county fire warden, right in the middle of things the entire time, was very involved in the briefings and keeping us up to date. And then Chief Tyler Allred from the Canaryville Fire Department, it was his incident to begin with, and those guys
And Mayor.
and Mayor, yeah. Chief Mayor Tyler Allred. No, in their fire department, they've got 4 or 5 guys, and man, they worked hard. They were there. They were right in the thick of things, and it's
Good.
the cooperation in our county with our small fire departments. I've said it over and over and over again, but it's incredible to watch how they work among each other, with our federal partners, with the BLM, with the Forest Service. It's just really kind of fun to sit back and watch them work because everybody's on the same team. It's really cool. But so we can put that one to bed. CJC ribbon cutting, August 16th, 10:30 in the morning. I want to take just a minute, John, if you'll put a picture up. I feel like lately we've had a lot of really good people pass. And I want to take just a minute and talk about Jill. Jill Schuler was an incredible friend and partner in lots of things in the community. A great friend of mine. She's just an awesome person. She passed away July 13th. Excuse me. Yeah, July 13th. A week ago Saturday. Jill spent about 29 years working for the Utah Shakespeare Festival. During that time, she was kind of the chief fundraiser and raised millions and millions of dollars that really got the Shakespeare Festival off the ground and where it is today. Most recently, we saw her here in the Iron County Commission presenting us with the train from the Centennial, the Railroad Centennial, that she was co-chair in putting together that whole event for us. Every year the CJC does the Dancing with the Community Stars fundraiser, which really funded the building of the new Children's Justice Center for the most part. Jill could always be found sitting in the back of the theater during all of the rehearsals and everything else, mending costumes, bedazzling hats, whatever she needed to do to make that event successful. She was always behind the scenes encouraging folks, and like really I was involved in that one year and had a top hat, and it came back bedazzled with gold things on it. And Jill was back there with a hot glue gun and crafting materials. Tyler Allred and I, in fact, were in top hats that Jill bedazzled. Latest, I've served with Jill on the airport board, and she was such a critical member of that board, always asking really well thought questions, digging into finances and logistics. Really, probably the sharpest member of that board. She will really be greatly missed. I just wanted to take a minute and remember her. Her funeral was Saturday. It was held in the Great Hall at SUU, and it was well attended. The room was full. Really great tributes to our friend Jill. I just wanted to remember her briefly, and because she rocks. She will be missed.
Did she go to school here? She wasn't from here, was she?
She wasn't.
She's the same age as my husband. That's why I wondered.
She went to school in Idaho. She went to Idaho State, I believe. Then worked for Eastern Airlines, worked for Ballet West for a while, and then was recruited by Fred Adams and Scott Phillips. Scott actually went to graduate school with her. Mm-hmm. That's where they met. And then they recruited her to the Shakespeare Festival in like 1970 something.
Years she's been with.
Years. And in fact, it was basically, it was a 4-man operation. It was Fred and Scott and Jill, and I don't remember the name of the other guy.
Whoops.
But no, they really ran that festival. Yes, sir.
If you don't mind, so Jill was I'm one of the unofficial nephews to Jill.
Excellent.
Uncle Scott. Scott Phillips is my uncle. So
Yes.
88 is when she went to work for the festival.
88.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. So she and Scott met in graduate school in like 1977-ish.
Yeah, 75,
Yeah.
I believe it was.
Yes. And I'm horrible with numbers, but
Oh, that's okay.
no, unofficial. Yeah, I assume were you at the services on Saturday?
Yes, it was.
Those were awesome.
Yeah, they did a great
Those-
tribute to Jill. And not to take away from what you're
Oh
saying.
no,
but
please, I'm finished.
If I know a lot of you are close friends, I'm going to refer to him as Uncle Scott. But if you're keeping his thoughts and prayers, a lifelong companion for 49 years, and he's definitely lost. So maybe the next 2 weeks he'll be great, but it's going to be the next months down the road that he's going to need support.
Well, and unfortunately, I wasn't going to share this, but as one of my other duties in the community is with the Office of the Medical Examiner, I was called out that night that Jill passed away, and was there. It was. I'm thankful for that experience, and I'm thankful that I was there to hang out with Scott through that time, and we assured him that night that there's always a seat open at the table, and he has friends, and we're not going to let Uncle Scott fall through the cracks. So I said, even though one of those friends is Tyler Allred, he seems to be the theme of commission today. But
Yeah, what's that, Bill?
it's we'll take care of Uncle Scott. So
Another that passed was Paula Perry.
yeah,
And
Paul-
they were neighbors and friends of ours for years, and you get to this age and people start passing away, and it's a little scary.
Oh, it's a little scary. Yeah, Paula, we were four-wheeler riding partners. Our kids were born days apart and were raised together, both between our homes. And yeah, she passed away when we were out of town.
She struggled with cancer for a long time. Sad. But, yeah.
Oh, what a cool family, though. What a great family.
Absolutely.
Thanks for that tribute. That was nice.
We will be back at 10. We'll go get signed papers and make a couple of calls, and we'll be All right. Welcome back to Iron County Commission. Today is the 22nd of July, 2024. We will move forward with our 10 o'clock portion of our agenda. Item number 1 on the agenda is a public hearing, discussion, and possible approval of a partial subdivision vacate and amend for lots 10 and 11, Block 11, Cedar Highland subdivision, for the purpose of adjusting the common lot line between two lots and vacating the existing access easement between the original two lots, located in the legal description as provided in the agenda. Turn the time over to Reed Erickson.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
We have up in Cedar Highlands, this particular lot, these two lots, you can see here, it's just right on the south end of the subdivision, up on the east side, up on what they call the High Common, the Cedar Highlands Common Road. And there are two lots there that the topography on the lots are high on the south side and low down against the road. And you can see by the aerial here, the configuration currently is that on what was lot 11, so the one on the top was lot 10 and the one on the bottom was lot 11 by the white lines. And they had built a home up on the top, you can see over here in this area, and have access off of the top. The topography here, this is lower and this is higher, and it's quite steep down through here, so it makes it really hard. You can see that these other homes on the adjacent lots are also built on the top because the bottoms are narrower and there's just not as much room to build there. So the owner of these two lots is the same owner. They own both properties, but they're trying to create a buildable lot down here on the bottom by creating the new lot line to be this line between lot 10 and 11, so that it gives a better landing down here on the bottom to build. So they take an access off of here and have a little better platform to build right there. So we're not vacating a lot. We're not combining them into a single lot. We're simply just making it so that each lot is a little bit more buildable. The requirements, of course, is that each lot have frontage on a county dedicated road. And that's why we have this frontage here for lot 11, because this is the lot frontage, and these are not county dedicated roads off of this back, so they don't have frontage. So in order to meet the ordinance and both lots stay the same size, they just have to have access off of the county road. But anyway, that's what we're looking at. We're just looking at trying to amend the lot line between those two lots. This is the plat that we would also vacate. There's a utility easement, a 5-foot utility easement on each side of the property line here that we would vacate. And then this access easement was granted here, would also be vacated by part of this process. So that's why this requires a public hearing. We have sent letters to adjacent property owners and posted for a public hearing because we are vacating an easement. We talked last time that these processes for amending lot lines, we want to be able to just do, and we can do those by staff now, but when it requires an amending plat, where we're either vacating a lot or vacating something else, that's to come to Planning Commission or County Commission. The proposed ordinance that we'll be looking at the Planning Commission will allow staff to approve when we combine lots or vacate a lot, but if there's a vacation of a road or an easement, then that would still come to the County Commission, because the statute requires a public hearing when there's a consideration of the vacation of any road. Now, these are not roads, they are easements, but just to take the high road, we want to make sure that we're doing a plat amendment rather than just a lot line adjustment, so that we can vacate those easements. So that's the explanation of what the project is. Again, both lots are owned by the same Neal Family Trust, and then they would make that available to a family member to be able to build on the other lots. So that's why we have a public hearing.
Great. Chair will declare the public hearing open on agenda item number 1. Invite any comments, questions. Seeing none, the chair will declare the public hearing closed and turn the time back over to Mr. Erickson for wrap-up.
Thank you. We did have an inquiry by the Cedar Highlands Homeowners Association, and they came into the office and said, "What's this all about?" And I explained it to them, and they said, "Oh yeah, we understand. That's great, no problem." And I hadn't heard from anyone else, so we just want to make sure we go through the process properly and make sure that it's taken care of. So right now, we're just looking for a county commission action that would amend the plat. So we have a partial plat amendment for lots 10 and 11 to reconfigure those, and then to vacate the access easement and the PUE on those 2 lots.
Okay. Ready for a motion?
Okay,
If there's no
I'll
other
make a
discussion.
motion. So I move to approve the partial subdivision vacate and amend for lots 10 and 11, Block 11, Cedar Highlands subdivision, for the purpose of adjusting the common lot line between 2 lots and vacating the existing access easement between the original 2 lots
And
located.
then let's add the PUE on there also, between the 2 lots, access easement and the PUE. I didn't get that on.
Okay,
there.
access easement and the PUE between the original 2 lots, located in the description as listed in the agenda. What's up?
Okay, second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 2, public comments. 3-minute time limit for speaker. For public comment, participants should not repeat others' comments, only for items not on the agenda. No items related to the commission's role as an appeal board. Comments should be directed at no commission, directed to the commission with no attacks on anyone else's character. Do we have any public comments today? Seeing none, we will move on to agenda item number 3. Agenda item number 3 is discussion and possible approval of a local consent for temporary beer event permit to be held at the Cedar Beach Oasis, located at 7896 North Lund Highway on August 30th through September 1st. Do we have folks from that event?
Doesn't look like
You
it.
know anything about that, John?
Only that, that they made this application. You've actually got the local consent there in front of you. This is, I believe, similar to the other events that have been held there. That, of course, is the Oasis out by Three Peaks.
Right.
Actually, that's about all the information I have.
Okay. Well, I would look for a motion. Yeah.
I would move for approval of a local consent for a temporary beer event permit to be held at the Cedar Beach Oasis, 7896 North Lund Highway on August 30th and September 1st,
Second.
2024.
Oh, sorry.
Moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Agenda item number 4, discussion and permission approval to use County Antelope Road and close Comstock Road for an off-road event on August 3rd, 2024. Mr. Jackson, come on down.
Morning, Commission. Again, Donald Legacy Racing, thank you for your time today. We are excited to bring our Dirt Revolution event back again for the 4th year. This has been a really good event for us. A lot of new eyes coming to the Cedar City area from our participants, and they've really enjoyed it. So as it states, we would like to close Comstock Road and use a portion of Antelope Road from the Iron Springs Road down to the motocross track, and then we jump on it again for about another 2 miles. Antelope Road would stay open to the public for those residents getting to and from their homes. We put a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit in there and monitor that so that they are not locked out of their facilities. I have talked to your road supervisor, Bruce Anderson, about it. He's fine with the proposal to close Comstock and leave Antelope open for those residents. The event will be based out of Iron Springs again. So festivities there on Friday, and then the race happening on Saturday itself, cleanup on Sunday. Once the event is over, we will go back and fix Antelope Road anywhere that we kind of tear it up, getting on and off of it, and same with Comstock. Generally in the past, it's just been the rocks kind of moved out to the side and the little grooves built into it. So we'll put it back into the condition it was prior to the event.
What about the sheriff? Have we hit
Yep, we've coordinated with Gordon at the VIPs.
Okay.
He's been coordinating with the sheriff. So they have 2 events on that same day. So in the morning, I think they have a marathon that they're helping with. So they'll be a little light on assisting us in the morning with our bike and quad race, but when the afternoon, when the UTVs race, they'll be there for that, which gets a little more congested, so that'll be good.
All right.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
This is your 4th year?
Yes, sir.
I'm just curious, there's been plus and minus, as we've sat in this meeting in years past. What lessons have you learned and are you implementing now
Well,
in terms of?
one of the biggest things was we thought Three Peaks was a great idea because it was a recreation area. It turns out that's a bad place to try and close down because there's so much activity there. And the sheriff also had concerns with the Shooting Range Road. We wanted to keep it open. It got closed 1 or 2 times, and the sheriff was like, we'd rather stay off of the Shooting Range Road. So that's basically moved everything to Iron Springs and then west of there. So there's nothing east of Iron Springs. That's some of the big learning curves that we've encountered. I think the first year we closed Antelope, and then somebody had a basketball tournament scheduled out there, and it really created conflict. So, okay, we figured out we need to leave Antelope open. So, there's been some growing curves, but overall, I think at least we haven't heard any negative feedback. So,
From my perspective, I really appreciate just how open and willing to be flexible you've been throughout.
right, and like we do 7 events throughout the year, and like I tell every other commission board that I go to is we're fortunate enough to race maybe one day out of the year, but your residents and your local people and you guys have to deal with this 364 other days out of the year. So we want to try and leave it better than we found it and make sure we're not in any inconvenience to the communities. And it's multi-use. We're here racing this weekend, but in a couple weeks after that, the deer hunt starts on those other stuff. So we got to make sure that those roads are available and usable for the hunters as well and the ranchers and whatnot. So appreciate you guys working with us. Also, we've sent you a copy of the insurance. I know it's come up in the past, so you do have that as well. The insurance packet that we provided, and I think our whole medical plan as well. So
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
Ready for a motion?
All right. I'll move to approve the use of the County Antelope Road and close the Constop Road for an off-road event on August 3rd, 2024.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Okay.
Approved.
thank you.
Item number 5, discussion and possible approval. Enoch City requests corridor preservation funds of $265,000 for the purchase of 4 properties to complete right-of-way for a portion of 5200 North in Enoch City. Recommendation comes from the Iron County Rural Transportation Organization. Welcome, Rob Dotson, to the mic.
Hello. Hello, good morning. Do you have any questions? I think you all know what this is about. You've all been involved in this. We are able to get some corridor transportation funds from the $10 that every person pays when they register their vehicles. And that's money is kept in the county now. It used to be protected by the state of Utah, but now you get to put those into use. We do have 4 property owners that we've been working with for many years. I shouldn't say 4 property owners, I should say 4 properties. The property owners have changed hands, which has made it more accessible, and they are more willing to actually sell portions of the property to put this road right-of-way in. And I do have with me, I don't know how much information you need, I do have the appraisals with me. The amount of $265,000 is not more than the appraisals have come in. In fact, one we've negotiated some trades for less than the appraised amount. So we're trying to do our best to reduce the expense. That's all I have. Have any questions?
No.
No.
Not for me. We'll consider a motion.
Okay. I will move for an approval for Enoch City to receive corridor preservation funds of $265,000 for the purchase of the 4 properties to complete right-of-way for the portion of 5200 North in Enoch City. Recommendation comes from the Iron County Rural Transportation Organization.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Done deal. Thank you.
I was just, is it cash? Are we doing it by Venmo?
John has a
I'll get with
stash under his desk.
Sack
You
of
can get it
nickels.
in a sack.
Nickels.
Sack of nickels.
We'll just take cryptocurrency.
That's good. Our auditors are here, so.
All right, agenda item number 6, the discussion and possible approval of a telecommunication franchise agreement between Iron County and 5th Street, Georgia, DBA InfoWest. Come on down.
Good morning. How are you?
Good.
Good. I don't know if you already have any franchises with the other telecommunications for the county. I deal with a lot of the cities, so you guys are the first county I get to work with, which is really exciting. And what we're realizing with franchises is they're very important for telecommunication to have, as we will partner in with you. We do. So I've just gotten the latest one I got was Salina up by Richfield area, a franchise. And some of the questions they had is what is this franchise and what are you trying to do? Basically, we're just trying to put fiber everywhere. That's the latest and greatest. We're trying to serve these underserved cities and areas that just don't have it. And so when we come in, we want to partner in with the county or the city and say, hey, we're here. We want to be in the ground if we need to do things. And so we just want to make sure you're aware that we want to be in this certain area. And so the reason of the franchise is to make it so that nobody, like just say someone randomly comes in town and says, hey, I'm going to do this subdivision and I'm going to use some of that easement in the ground. With a franchise, we're partnered in with you. So then, you don't just let anybody go in that ground and use up that fragile piece of easement that you only have so much foot of. And so it's really important just to get a franchise with everybody we work with, just so that we're part of you. So that if you guys have any developments that you're doing, we can go in and put in some conduit if the ground's been opened up, or vice versa. If you guys need something, we work with the county. And so it just increases the footprint of fiber. It makes it easier, just able to do it together instead of us coming in and creating some problems and you're going, who are these guys? What are they doing? And so, we do a lot of wireless as InfoWest. But we also are doing a lot of fiber now. And so the ultimate goal is to take down all that wireless stuff and put in fiber. So.
Okay.
Great.
Any question?
I don't know if you guys have already looked at the franchise, if she was able to give it to you. It's kind of the template we use for all of our cities. It can be changed a little bit. If you see something that you would like to change, go ahead and do so. It's not a problem at all. We're pretty flexible with that. It's pretty long. There's a lot of stuff in there.
Read.
Yeah.
Reed Erickson, Iron County. We looked at franchise fees before, and I don't know if this establishes a fee as part of the franchise agreement, but there was some statutory things. I don't know if Sam has looked at this agreement.
Sam's in court today, darn it.
Pardon?
Sam told me he's in court today.
Okay. There were some statutory concerns between cities and counties and what counties could do with franchise agreements and franchise fees. When we were looking at franchise, this came up in our discussion with Rich Wilson and giving encroachment permits and putting utilities in public rights of way. And I know the difference between the PUE when we do a new subdivision, it's not in the right of way, but then we have a lot of utilities that want to put it in the right of way because there's either not a PUE previously or just a better location. And I don't know enough to speak to this adequately other than we have questions, because we were told last time when we said let's pursue franchise agreements with these utilities because we have a lot of issues when they come in and leave problems. We have encroachment permits that we can get. I don't know if it's the intent that this would override an encroachment permit or there would still be an encroachment permit needed anytime it's in the county right away, and whether or not there are fees associated with that. That's really my biggest questions in terms of development.
Has legal looked at this agreement, our legal you know?
Well, that was my question. I didn't know.
I
whether
don't know.
You know?
had any comments on that, because I know that we were told, no, we cannot do franchise agreements in the county. We cannot, and I don't know if we couldn't do agreements or we couldn't have franchise fees. I don't know which one it was, but that's what we were told.
And we're good with whatever. I think with a encroachment, we'll still pay for those things. This doesn't necessarily bypass that because I still do that with everybody else. So that is a good point, though. I don't know exactly how the county part works with it, but
How time sensitive is this?
this
approval?
isn't time sensitive.
If we tabled today and had our attorneys look it over
yeah. A lot of times we
next
just
meeting, would that work for you?
yeah. Almost every time I finish with this, and everybody's like, "Hey, this is good for us, but let's let legal figure that part out." That's usually where we leave with
Okay.
this. So that's
Perfect.
fine.
Does this propose a franchise fee?
So it just depends. So we're not connected with any federalized subsidized money that we get from the government. So like with cities, sometimes they have to pay fees because they get money from the government, so they have to do certain things. We don't. Everything's paid by us. And so it just depends. If you guys say, hey, when you guys do an encroachment, we'd like a franchise fee that goes with that. You maybe add a little fee to where you make some money from that. But usually we're gonna be paying you for doing the encroachments and all the other normal processes. Like if we're gonna go down a road, we're gonna pay you for that. So it just depends. County level, this will be something new that we haven't done. So
We probably need a motion to table that then, don't we?
Yeah.
I'll move to table the this discussion for the approval of a telecommunication franchise agreement between Aaron County, Utah, and Fifth Street, George, till our attorneys can look at it and maybe bring it back on our next agenda.
Okay, second.
all right.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We'll
Thank
be
you.
back.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 7. Come on down. Come on down, Rick and Gabe. And be discussion and presentations of the 2023 independent audit by Kimball and Roberts, certified public accountants. Thank you.
Oh, man.
Love it.
Just let me take a minute and say how we appreciate the opportunity to come down and perform the audit. Rather than take a lot of time to go through this, we think it'd be good for us just to give go through our opinion and the compliance issues that we'll look at. I want to have you turn to the index there it's the very first page. And this just shows what is in this audit report. So on the very first, it shows our independent audit report, which is on page 2. And this audit is composed of about 4 sections. There's the management discussion analysis on the basic financial statements, kind of a comparative to this year and the prior year and any major changes. Then we get to the fund financial statements, which we have the balance sheet and the governmental statement of revenues and expenditures. And then the statement of net position by the proprietary fund and so on. And then after that comes the notes and then the required supplementary information. If you turn the page, we have combining financial statements and then the compliance section. So there's a lot of stuff in here to look at. And we're not going to go through all of it. Of course, we'll just render our opinion on our audit that we performed. If you'll turn to page 2, this is our independent auditor's report. And as we go through the audit, we look to see that you have procedures set up for internal controls. And then we also do an analysis by going through a comparative or a comparative to see what major changes have happened. And we look at those and test those to see that in the analytical review to see if there's any major changes we need to look at. So in our opinion, on the second paragraph there on page 2, we say, in our opinion, the accompanying financial statements present fairly in all material respects, respective financial position of the governmental activities, the business type activities, the aggregate presented component units, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining information of Iron County as of December 31st, 2023, and respective changes in financial position and, where applicable, cash flows thereof for the year ended in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. This is what's called a clean opinion or an unqualified opinion, meaning that in our testing and on our observations and inquiries, we didn't find anything of a material nature that would cause these financial statements to be misleading. In other words, we feel like the revenues and expenditures are reported correctly on a material amount, and we didn't find any exceptions to that as we went through the audit. On page 3, it shows some of our auditors' responsibility for the audit. And this is fairly new. It's been here for just a couple of years. But on page 2, it says, in performing an audit in accordance with GAS and government auditing standards, we, and this is some of the things we did, but the last bullet there says, we conclude whether in our judgment there are conditions or events considered in the aggregate that raise substantial doubt about Iron County's ability to continue as a going concern for a reasonable period of time. Now, had we found anything that would indicate you could not continue, we would then have to modify our opinion and say, no, it looks to us like, conditions exist that they have too much debt or there's not enough revenue and so forth. They won't be able to make it through another year. But cities and counties usually don't have this problem because you can raise taxes and you get government funding. So that is in there, and as we go through our testing, we look at that. And so, again, I'll just have you turn over to page 5. This is the start of management discussion analysis. And then you turn past that to the basic financial statements are on page 14. If you turn the page there, it shows the assets and liability on a full accrual basis of the county at December 31st, 2023. So as you look down through there, I just want to point out one or two things, that the cash and investments, unrestricted cash, and the governmental activities, which would be all your governmental funds, was $33,533,734. And your business type activities was $11,748,642. And you had total restricted cash in both funds of $25 million. So you have a lot of cash that you've received that's restricted by nature on what you can spend that on. And as you look down below in the very bottom net position, it'll tell you what those are. And so I'll turn some time over now to Gabe to go through the compliance section of this. I don't want to spend a lot of time on the notes. If you look at the notes starting over on page 26, the notes are there just to expand on what is shown on that page of the net position. For example, cash and receivables, capital assets, and debt. And so as you look through here, there'll be places that show the total assets and liabilities. And just have you turn to one section. If you turn over on page 44, this will show some of the long-term debt that the county has. And on page 43, it shows the beginning balance, what has been added and what has been paid. And so there's information like this all throughout this report. So if you have any questions regarding that, I know you can give us a call. We're glad to answer that. And I'll turn some time over now to Gabe to go through the compliance part of this. And again, thank you. Appreciate the time to work with your employees. You have good employees in each of your departments. Your treasurer is able to tell us where the money belongs, that's left, who the tax that she's holding is due to. And that is, that's good to be able to do that and show exactly where that money is due. So again, I'll turn time over to Gabe. Gabe?
Gabe Miller, Kimball, and Roberts. Good to be with you, good folks, this morning. As Rick said, if you have any questions as you go through, we're happy to answer. But as we turn over, I want to kind of cover the last sections here, which is the compliance sections, and the reports there start on page 86. And to echo Rick, in this first section, this is our independent auditors on internal control over the financial reporting. And although testing internal controls is a separate engagement that isn't we don't give an opinion on your internal controls as they're functioning, but obviously to establish our testing, we have to determine if they're in place and if they're somewhat effective or operating as determined. And so, although we don't give an opinion, down at the bottom of page 86. We basically state that during our audit, we did not identify any deficiencies in internal controls that we consider to be material weaknesses. However, they may exist that have not been identified. One point I want to make in this regard, and one thing that your staff here should be commended with, is that an audit only goes as good as the information you can get as you're doing it. And you'd be shocked to know in the many audits we do that we can show up and we can say, can we get your bank rec? And we don't get a copy of the bank rec. So your treasurer and auditor specifically in their departments are very exceptional in that as we ask for information, we're able to get good, accurate, complete information. They take very seriously their roles, I believe. It's evidenced in how efficient the audit can be because we do get accurate information when we ask for it, and it reconciles. We test expenditures. We can go right to your system, look through the expenditures that has backup proof. It's very easily auditable, if that makes sense. So, commendment there to your county staff and those department areas specifically. One thing we talked with Luke again this morning and during our audit that is kind of next level is if you're worried about fraud or risk of misuse, the best way to do that is to have internal functions that will help assess those things on a regular basis. And Luke has implemented and we've talked about maybe more frequently to the county's advantage of them doing that, those internal audits of departments and to ensure that along the way you're catching those things. If there are weaknesses, you can identify, and that helps mitigate your risk. So kind of a next level that many entities we do aren't able to get to that level. So it's commendable that they're able to do that. So that's the report on internal control. No issues there that we found. The next report is regarding the single audit. And this is for the federal programs that you receive in federal monies in the current 2023 year. We have to go through a selection process to determine which programs are selected for audit, and based on the programs we selected, they have their own audit guides. If you'll look at 91 to 93, that is a listing of all of the federal funding that was received. And you can see that on page 92 that the program that was selected that had the bulk of the expenditures in total was the Local Assistance and Tribal Consistency Fund. And there was $5.9 million expended there. So we went through that program, selected it, and tested it, and it gave us the full, actually more than full coverage of our required testing in the single audit. And if you look on page 91, that is a summary of our audit findings. We restate there that we have an unmodified opinion. You'll see at the top of the page that we identified no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. And then particular to the federal awards, there were no material weaknesses there or significant deficiencies there. And our opinion, similar to the overall financial report, is an unmodified opinion on major programs. So essentially you have a clean, unmodified opinion for the single audit. Does that make sense? Any questions there? Okay. The last one, and this is usually the gotcha report. This is the independent auditor's report on compliance and report on internal control over compliance as required by the state compliance audit guide. Every year, the state of Utah State Auditor's Office issues an audit guide that we're to test certain certain requirements in areas that are listed in the center of page 95. Those are the ones that are specific to Iron County that were applicable here. Your responsibility, as it states there, is to make sure that you're in compliance with all those areas. It was our opinion on the top of page 96, in our opinion, Iron County complied in all material respects with the compliance requirements referred to above that could have a direct and material effect on the county for the year ended December 31st, 2023. So no state compliance findings either. So I really don't have a bad cop report. We do the good cop, bad cop. There's no bad cop today, so. Do you have any questions for us?
Thank you.
No, we really appreciate the time and effort that you guys put in, and I mean, really, it is a process. We, you know, when these guys show up, we as elected officials and department heads all spend a considerable amount of time sitting down with them and providing information, and we really appreciate your thoroughness and just ability to come and hang out for a week.
Yeah. Well.
Oh, we appreciate we appreciate the good news.
Yeah, nothing bad to report today. So, with that, if you want to accept
Awesome.
the audit report, we'll be on our way. Let you get to your meetings.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, agenda item number 8, discussion and possible approval of a cooperative control of noxious weeds and invading weeds through the USDA Forest Service grant money, presented by Amber Hatch.
Oh.
Our nice weed lady.
Yep, I'm the weed lady, the noxious weed lady. So here's another grant that I'm asking for approval. This grant is through the Utah Weed Supervisor Association. This grant is $10,000, and the project for this is going to be in Fremont Canyon on the Iron County Beaver border. So.
Okay. That's all
Awesome.
the information we need to know, huh?
Hey, well, if you have any questions.
So-
time
Is
will-
it just money for you to do your thing, or is it expressly for like certain things?
So this money, this is specially for certain things. So we've asked for chemical, labor, and public education.
Great.
That's
Awesome.
So is it U.S. Forest Service or
This
is
is
it
the Utah-
USDA?
So this is the Utah Weed Supervisor Association. So they will actually they get money that they grab from the Forest Service. And then so how they justify being able to give that out and kind of take that from the Forest Service is the amounts of forestry covered on the property.
Okay.
So Utah Weed Supervisor
Association.
Association. Okay.
Cool. I guess we're ready for a
For motion.
motion. I would move for approval of the cooperative control of noxious weeds and invasive weeds through USDA Forest Service grant money.
Do we have a second?
Second. Sorry.
Moved and
Meeting the
seconded.
next item, and I
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
15-second run.
Here, she blamed me for being on the agenda and forced me to drive her over here, so.
Good for you.
Oh, good job.
Good for you.
George's need to add chauffeur to your job duties. Yeah?
George
It was my fault she was on the agenda, so.
George should probably still be asleep after the last week's fire. So the fact that you're up
and
vertical
going.
and driving Amber around
Good job.
is commendable.
4 a.m. breakfast from Houston.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, the next one is a mouthful. Agenda item number 9. Consideration of a resolution 2024-7 declaring the intention of Iron County, Utah to issue industrial develop revenue bonds to be used to finance costs of acquiring, constructing, and equipping of a covered lagoon dairy digester facility, the project, authorizing the issuance and sale of such bonds in the principal amount of not to exceed $10 million, establishing conditions which must be met at or prior to the issuance of the bonds, providing for the posting of a notice of public hearing, providing for the reimbursement from the proceeds of such bonds of expenditures for the project, and related matters. I assume Marcus Keller, please come on down.
Perfect. And I think John's also calling. So we do have Michael, I believe, is going to be on the phone. He's from the CFO of Moss Energy. So they're the ones partnering up with the Holtz on this project.
However, he didn't answer. I'll keep trying.
Oh, okay. He may call back, but I can explain most. We had a good conversation with him, with the county staff and ourselves this week to kind of get a little bit more intel on the project, kind of understand what they're trying to do. And then also talked with Gilmore and Bell, got some more of the specifics on how this may be a little bit different than prior private activity bonds that's come before the county as well, so we can talk through that too. But so what they're trying to do is this is just one of many steps they have to do. So they are a for-profit entity. They are partnering with the Holt Dairy Farm, and they're going to do, I believe, methane gas collection. So what they do is they take that from the manure, they capture it, and then they actually sell that back into the market. It's very lucrative in certain parts of the country that have tax credits and different green incentives. And so they sell that back into the market, and so that's how they generate a profit from it. Well, because this project, it actually qualifies under one of the state's what we call kind of a private activity bond requirement. So the state, working with the, based off IRS rules and everything else, they have different sections in code that certain projects, even though they are for profit, which typically wouldn't qualify for tax exempt bonds, they do have exceptions on certain projects that could qualify if they meet a certain threshold, but also too, if they have enough cap allocation for the year. So each year the federal government will say, okay, state of Utah, you get, just throwing out a number, $500 million in cap allocation. So if you have some of these projects that qualify under this, you can allocate some of your cap allocation to that project. That's a little bit unique compared to some of the other projects where it's really the county deciding, where in this case, if the county does approve it, then they would actually go to the state's private activity board, which I'm not sure if you all know, you actually have one of your staff on the private activity board. Nicole. Yeah. Oh, sorry. She may have been keeping it a secret, but so it's actually she's a big wig now.
She's a big deal.
I know.
She's a big deal. So it's a great group. She's on it too, and they approve these applications. I would say probably the bulk of it goes to housing and to low-income housing. So most of it does go to low-income housing. So when we do see unique opportunities like this in the state to pull it to small manufacturing, or in this case, oh gosh, I can't think of the name, but it's what's the name of this program? Do you remember, Nicole? I got it confused with small manufacturing, but it's a different subset of that. It's the reuse. Sorry. Anyway, we can clarify that. But basically, they have different subsections outside of low-income housing. So if something qualifies for small manufacturing or some other type of commercial, in this case, they qualify under a different section because they are reusing a waste. So there it is. It's a waste reusal program. So they would qualify for tax-exempt bonds. So that's what they're coming to the county today, is to say we need to do this as a conduit and able to qualify. We'll have a TEFRA hearing on August 12th here at the county to have a public meeting. But then once they get approval from the county, they go to the state, and that's where they actually get the authorization to issue these bonds. So it's a pretty cool thing because we just don't see a lot of it happen in Utah. So whenever we can take some of it from the I better watch how I say this. Whenever there's something that actually goes to some of the other designated programs, it's exciting to see. So
it's probably more in northern Utah because of the housing.
I would say so much of it's like probably Salt Lake.
They're actually doing some projects like in Price, though.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Some other communities are starting to come in a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So I have a question.
Yeah.
We a few months ago, the commissioners passed a conduit issuance policy. Does anybody know whether they complied? I don't know off the top of my head.
So when we passed that policy, it was a little bit interesting because we passed it specifically for nonprofits that were coming to receive authorization. I think the thought was, in this case, since this was actually a for-profit that's going to be getting their allocation from the state, we would just be more open to discussion with it. But we did actually ask them the same things. We said, well, how is this going to affect the commercial? How's this going to affect taxable value? How's this going to affect jobs? And so they're actually planning to send that application as well. So as part of that process, they actually have to answer all those questions to the state too. But from what they told us, it is going to be very beneficial. It's going to increase the taxable value in there. It's going to be a commercial product that they're selling back into the system, employment, jobs, all that good stuff that comes with it as well. But I think the really cool part about this is, it's not something we see as much here in southern Utah, is a really cool green initiative, right? Instead of just having, waste that just gets disposed of, perhaps not maybe used to its best and highest use, they're actually reclaiming it and pulling the methane out of it. And this isn't a new thing. They've been doing it in California for many, many years. And so they saw an opportunity to work with the Holts, and they've been talking about it apparently for about 2 or 3 years now, and finally decided to move forward with it. So, but we did ask them too about a surveillance fee. We said, the county, if there is going to be any type of burden as reporting, Luke and his team having to track these. And they said, hey, you just tell us. We're used to dealing in California. We know the cost of doing business. So it's been interesting to say the least. But they are working with Gilmore and Bell as well. So I mean, it's a pretty solid group. Sounds like everything's kind of coming together there. And the nice thing is that ultimately at the end of the day, the private activity board will decide on whether or not they receive the allocation for the project.
And I apologize for my ignorance. Is this going to require a new tax area?
No.
It's just the conduit issuance.
Correct. The only thing that this may require on the county, why they may be interested in putting on an additional surveillance fee, is that, and we actually just ran out and talked to the auditors a little bit about it, and they said, well, it's really what the county wants to do. You may just want to report it as part of your audit report and say, there's usually a section that says conduit issuances, even though this has no effect on the county's credit, there's no binding obligation that the county ever has to make the payment. This was issued in the county's name for the borrower, for them to be able to get tax-exempt bonds, but all the credit and all the burden and all the payment is actually on that private company. But you could put some information in it if somebody was interested in understanding a little bit about it. But again, that's one of the reasons we want to make sure that Luke and his team's compensated for any time spent.
I'm going to say so basically surveillance is the idea.
Yeah. So Luke may just have a call with the trustee every year that holds the bonds and says, okay, what's the outstanding principal? Has anything changed? Are they delinquent? Just give us a heads up on what's going on. Great. Quick update here or whatever he needs to do, or however much in depth he wants to go into it, and include that as part of his audit. And they would pay for any.
We could set an annual fee.
Annual fee. Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
But I guess Luke would have to decide that. I was curious where that would be accounted for.
We kind of said, we kind of threw out, what $1,000, and they said, yeah, just let us know. Yeah, we're not going to balk at, having to spend money to get this done. So they want to be a good team player, it sounded like.
Good. Yeah, they've talked about this several times with the folks that do the digesters in planning and zoning, and there is a good thing that will come from it for the smell, for that local community that will help with those smells.
Oh, perfect.
So that is a good thing for that community, for Newcastle.
And the flies.
And the flies and that, yeah.
And I was trying to think, I think the last one that was done under this waste reuse, I believe it was even before my time, it was up in Beaver County. I think they did it with some of the hog farms.
Yeah,
probably 20
and they
plus
do
years
have
ago.
some of these in Beaver County.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So they went through a similar type program way back when. So we just don't, like I said, it just doesn't happen a lot here in Utah, but maybe this will be more and more, functioning product here in Utah.
I'm feeling ignorant still.
Yeah.
Sales tax on the sale, or are they exempt from that, or do you know?
I don't believe they would be exempt from that, but I think it would be similar to how a utility maybe gets sales tax for their production. So I'm not sure on that. Obviously, you'd get the commercial valuation.
Or it's utility scale.
Yeah, but utility may not just be a direct sales tax if they're selling it into the open market. I just personally don't know how that gets taxed.
That's okay. I was just curious about that because that's
Good question,
significant if it were a bunch of sales tax.
Yeah, and I think probably the best
Where
way
they're
to,
selling that, yeah,
But maybe
absolutely.
utility scale, I don't know.
I don't know either.
but I think the actual buildings and everything, the digesters, all that obviously would be included as part of, Iron County. So you probably have a lower taxable value there. Right now it's probably all green belt for
It
the
is.
most part. And so they
Right,
would have
they
to
just barely moved it into
take it
a
out of
different-
green belt, but also then add all the new valuation they bring with the equipment and the buildings and everything else required to do it. So seems like a pretty good product for the county. I didn't have any concerns. We looked at the documents with Sam as well. Our biggest thing is to also make sure that the county is held harmless in any case, so that the bonds default if something happens to the project. Again, it's in what we call name only as a conduit issuer, so you have no obligation to ever repay or as any kind of credit towards this project. So
Okay.
that was a lot. Sorry.
No. Is there a motion on that resolution?
I'll make a motion to pass the resolution 2024-7 declaring the intention of Iron County, Utah to issue industrial development revenue bonds to be used to finance cost of acquiring, constructing, and equipping of a covered lagoon dairy digester facility, the project, authorizing the issuance and sale of such bonds in the principal amount of not to exceed $10 million, establishing conditions which must be met at or prior to the issuance of the bonds, providing for the posting of a notice of public hearing, providing for the reimbursement from the proceeds of such bonds of expenditures for the project and related matters.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed.
Thanks.
Thanks, Marcus.
Appreciate it. Well, we'll talk afterwards. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Marcus.
Agenda item number 10, discussion and possible forgiveness of delinquent 2023 taxes on appraiser parcel number 0133584.
Okay, so this individual, we normally won't elevate these to the commission unless there's some pretty extenuating circumstances. In this case, this individual had a stroke and missed their application for their abatement. And so the dollar amount is $752.20. With the late fee, it's $819.63. They've already applied for this year's abatement, and they were just they had a stroke and they were in the hospital during that filing time. There was a little bit of time before the stroke, but they hadn't done it, and then they had the stroke and were down. And so, like I said, we normally wouldn't bring stuff like this before the commission unless it's pretty extenuating, and we felt like this one rose to that level. So, there's the $752.20, or with the late fee $819.63.
Okay.
If the commission feels to do that. Do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't have a lot more information than
if
that.
there's not a whole lot of, I mean,
And it's an abatement they would have qualified for anyway.
They failed to apply for the abatement because of the stroke.
But they would.
They
would've
would
Yeah,
have.
and then
They
they've
would
actually applied
typically-
and qualified already this year.
So they
for
would
the-
have qualified.
Yeah, well, let me rephrase that. I guess I didn't say they had been receiving the abatement for years before that. Sorry, I
Got
didn't.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
because
helps.
of the
Okay.
stroke, they didn't get the application in.
That's correct.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
That's correct.
All right. Consider a motion.
Okay, I would move for forgiveness of delinquent 2023 taxes. So probably the 81963 we would forgive.
Second.
I moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Come on down, Jen. Personnel.
Good morning. In the landfill department, Elijah Brown and Morgan Bess were selected from the most recent competitive interview and recruiting process to backfill the vacant full-time technician 1 positions. Elijah effective on July 22nd, 2024, and Morgan effective August 5th of 2024. And then in the Sheriff's Office Corrections, Caitlin Lacey has completed all requirements to be promoted from a full-time medical sorry, let me start over. Full-time medical deputy 1 to a full-time medical deputy 2 effective July 7th, 2024.
All right. Is there a motion
I'll
on
move.
personnel?
I'll move to approve the personnel as described by Jennifer.
Second?
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Any discussion on county boards? And
That I know of, and I don't know that we need a closed session today.
not that I know
That's
of.
weird.
Yeah, you guys have been pretty steady.
I know.
We go
Sounds like we
from
might
har-
have one for next time, but
we go from hardly ever to
all the time.
all the time.
Time.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh, Chair will declare the meeting adjourned.
Okay. Oh, wait. Somebody.
Oh.
Come on up.
Oh. You were on the agenda at the beginning, and we approved you in your absence.
And you're fine.
So sorry, I
You're a done
didn't
deal.
recognize you when you came in. Otherwise, I'd have said something to you.
Well, thanks, because I was downstairs. I heard it and so.
Oh.
Yep.
No,
You're good.
Yeah, you're good.
Thank you
You're-
guys. Come up
Yep.
and see the place, and we've already done a lot with it since we began 5 years ago.
I would love to check it out. I've heard
yeah.
good things.
Painters
It
up
is
there.
fabulous.
They really cleared it out. I mean, it's a neat place. So
Cool.
Okay.
Nice.
Very
Yep.
good.
Yeah, you're
Thank
you're
you.
good to go for your event. Thank you.
Okay.
Does the chair declare adjournment?
Redeclare the meeting adjourned.